Hello, everyone. Welcome back for a new episode of Coding Design System with George. Hello, George.
Hello, Mads. What's up?
I'm fine. I'm fine. That's cool. I'm really excited for today because we've got a new guest today, and this is our first guest for this series. So, welcome, Adam, for this new episode. I'm so glad to have you here. How are you?
Welcome,
Oh,
Adam.
I'm swell. Energized morning. Everything's good. I had yesterday off, feeling good. How about y'all? How you doing?
That's the best thing. More days off. We need more days off. So,
Good for the soul. Good for my heart.
yeah, good. Good for the brain. You know, we need something to just fresher and just new things. So, we have you today because we wanted to cover the open props topic and talk with you about open props, which is a delightful project. So could you tell us a bit more about open props, what it is and how it works?
Yeah, I think we're barely scratching the surface as an industry on custom properties. And so what this is sort of creating a design system token set of custom properties so that we can build things on the web using the web's technology and having a beautiful set of defaults.
Mm.
So it can be hard to choose colors. It can be hard to make adaptive shadows. It can be hard to make succinct, beautiful gradients or gradients that span different colors. Like you might need a middle color stop so it doesn't go all gray in the middle or whatever.
Yeah.
All these little things. There's so many little things, and custom properties can allow us to tuck that powerful solution that someone came up with into a little name that makes it so easy to use the power. And so I've gone and collected a whole bunch of superpower little snippets, given them cute little names, made it so that they're easy to cycle through, so that you can cycle through gradient 1, gradient through 2, blue 1, blue 2. You know, you're just going through beautiful blues, going through beautiful gradients, beautiful shadows, and trying to make it available for everyone. So using this superpower, it's called a CSS custom property, and packing as many of them that I can find into a nice, easy to use name for everyone to just import and use. Yeah, that's kind of the gist.
That sounds just awesome. And so what the first idea is that just having a collection of different properties that you're gathering at first, or did you come up with the idea of the whole open props, I don't know, library? How do you name it?
Yeah. Okay. So it started with a project called transition.style or transition CSS that I made last year, 2 years ago. And I wanted click and go CSS transitions. And so if you go to the website transition.style, you can see it. As you click on the right hand link, it'll have like scale in or wipe animations, and then it puts them right into your clipboard. And so I was circumventing the concept of a custom property entirely by just putting that superpower value into your clipboard. So you could go paste it wherever you want. You didn't even have to download the library, no CDN, nothing. You just get the values and walk away. But in that library that I built something called the Hack Pack, which was the first attempt at shipping just custom properties, which is what OpenProps is. It's just custom properties. And the Hack Pack, so transition.style comes with, I don't know, I'm taking a guess, like 30, 40 different transitions for you to use. But if you use the Hack Pack, you can have like 100 or more, because you can wipe from an angled this direction to like a circle expanding up.
Yeah. Okay.
And so once you have the properties in your hand, composing them, you could even do a wipe, a wipe, a wipe, a wipe, a push, right? Because you're not limited to the concept of what transition.style has prepared for you. I've given you all of the values in your hand, and you can go from one to the next and do whatever you want. So the Hack Pack was this obvious evolution of CSS in terms of like library delivery, where it was like, if people are down and they're feeling comfy moving props around, they can go crazy and get really creative with it. And so that was my first forte into shipping just props, and they're on a CDN. So just like open props, you can just go grab them and start using these transition props in your animations. And so that's where it started. And it moved into me looking at Sass and all the different styles I've written over the past years, looking at other component libraries and other design systems and blah, 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 and just sort of going, what's the core and how can I make it as easy and just get rid of all the complexity as much as possible and try to unite the naming. That was another thing. Naming's hard. And
Yeah.
so OpenProps tries to take a stab at consistent, reliable naming that's adaptive. And anyway, whatever, it gets more complicated than that. But I've been talking a while, and did I answer your question? I hope so.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And no, but this is incredible because this is finally the kind of experience we all have as developer and especially as front-end developers when we're trying to build a new project. We're always trying to get access to existing libraries, existing content because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So yeah, as everyone, I'm just trying to find the best basic curves for animations or things like that because I don't want to reinvent or I don't want to recompute everything by myself. So yeah, it do make sense at some point. Just trying to gather everything in the same place and just taking the power of the existing custom properties or something like this. This is really great. Is it something you are working alone on it? Because you're working in the Google Chrome developer relation team. That's it. And is it a project that you are working on under the Google Chrome team or something else? You are working alone on it or?
This one was my own. I do a lot of things for the Chrome team as well. And part of OpenProps, I released a post CSS plugin through Chrome Labs that definitely helps OpenProps, and that's the JitProps plugin. But the funny thing about this library is I think I wrote 90% of it in a night, in terms of like the properties, right? Like I knew where I was getting the colors. I already had my easings mostly figured out. I have a website called Conic.style, which already had a bunch of good looking gradients. So it's like I had all these places to go source the superpowered values, and I just needed to sit down and aggregate them into one thing. And so making the initial setup was me just alone, but I shared it with a couple other Googlers, and they got really excited, and they're like, "I want to help you build the website and stuff like that." And I got a lot of help with marketing and like just how to talk about this because it was really hard to talk about at first. It gets compared to Tailwind very quickly, even though it ships no classes, which is, I think, one of the biggest value props of Tailwind is that you work only in your HTML. You don't touch CSS, and OpenProps is like, you have to touch CSS. it really doesn't work anywhere else. I mean, you could put it all in line on your HTML, but that might be kind of funky looking.
Yeah.
And so I needed a lot of help with marketing. And so even the phrase on the top of the website, it's like supercharged CSS variables. That little headline, I went through like so many iterations trying to figure out like how do we tell people what these are, and make them look strong and useful, because otherwise they can look just like design tokens. You're like, we don't need more design tokens. And so yeah, it was important that I got reviews on that, people using the doc site too to like learn it and try it out. That code example went through like, so I don't know, 40 iterations because I wanted to tell you so much power it could do there, but no one really reads it, and so I had to make it small enough that you actually read it. And yeah, so there's lots of community work to round out everything around the the library itself, which is I think pretty typical, right? You can have a developer make a really cool game in a couple days, and then it takes years to get it into publishing, advertising, localized, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
And
yeah.
suddenly just popping in the right thread, right socials media at some point, and finally this is just the sparkle we need to make an awesome project. So yeah, that's really great. Let's go to the code, George.
Yeah, let's write some code.
Are
Let's see
you
that.
ready to try something? So let me put the screen. Yeah. So in the previous episode, we started to implement new starter kit for open props in Backlight. The idea with the Backlight design system editor that we are building is that we could provide users with different kind of starter kits to help them to just jump into the design system field without having to scratch everything, to draft everything from scratch. So we started one with open props. At first, it was just a bit of just using the custom properties offered by the library and putting some documentation around it. And that's also, so let's continue on it. George, I give you the hand and I let you do.
Yeah, we're going to have a look. We're going to scan it a little bit with you, Adam. I think you probably haven't seen it yet.
I'll put on my judgmental hat and my judgmental goggles. And then, all the things that make me right. Let me just wear all those right now really quick. Just kidding.
So,
That's for people to do on Twitter. Yeah.
There's a lot of goggles like this, huh? So this is Backlight, and this is how far we went by scanning the website and trying to explore the possibilities of how we could use this. As Mads was saying, Backlight is about making design systems, and so we thought that even though you could use OpenProp as a design system, if you want a little bit of tailor it for your requirement, you can pick and choose and actually expose your design system differently. And this is how we wanted to explore this. So far, for example, we take the colors that we import from the colors OpenProp. And then we build this little page that picks up the different colors and
It's so pretty.
them. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's really basic, but the colors are so nice that it renders very well. And then we've done the same thing with the gradients. So picking up all the custom properties that start with gradients, and this gives that. And again, some cool gradients here. It's quite a lot, so maybe there's new ones. And then we did the same for the shadow, elevation, or inner shadows. They are all here. And again, so this is not hard. Like, we're using this dockkit core that we open source to actually generate those views, and it gives us those little thumbnail and presentation, so we can see all those props.
Cool. Oh, wow, that's a great view. I love that one. Look at the ramp.
Nice. And thanks. And I think we can check how you did that as well.
I see you all have included the normalized.css as well.
Yes, I think we did use it in the doc layout. So in the doc layout, which is here, we do apply the normalized and the open props, all the open props. And I think this is what makes the documentation pages look like this, because this is just
and
H1.
If you were in a dark theme, they would be dark mode ready also.
Yes. With a little caveat, before the stream, we actually figured out that there is something wrong with the dark theme, but it's probably not on OpenProp side. But so we need to see if we can fix that. But yes, you're right. It's used to work properly.
I bet I could help you. There's like some magic properties, custom properties that come with the normalized. There's 4 surface colors and 2 text colors.
Let me try again then, because actually I did a grade.
Yeah, let's solve a bug. Let's fix a bug at the first. Yeah.
Dark. So let's move into dark. So this will move automatically, your website.
Yeah.
So this I knew. But here, as you can see, I think something is wrong with the background that is somehow set.
Can you have a look at the doc layout? I'm wondering if we don't have a background color supercharge somewhere.
Yeah, it looks like
it looks just here.
Yeah, take it out.
Remove it.
Let me branch that.
Nice. Yeah, the normalized file comes with some background colors so that it can change it to a dark theme.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think there
Let's
might
see
be
how
another
it
one setting
looks
it
now.
too.
There we go.
Awesome.
Nice.
See?
Cool. And yeah, look at that gray. That's a nice gray. It has a little tint of blue in it.
Mm.
Oh, and your shadows are appropriate now. So now if your dark mode shadows are adaptive and they show,
Yeah.
you can see how much darker they are on the black background there.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Everything works very well.
Nice. Oh yeah, you got
So
the normalized too, because I could see the little code snippets, the inline code snippets had styles too. Yeah, I see them dash
yes.
dash size, triple
Yeah.
zero. That comes with normalized too.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we discovered when we played with it, is that you can import the different tokens or the different CSS custom properties in, where is it? Let me scroll it. In those files, you can input those, but somehow this normalized styles also, basic HTML, somehow like markdown type of things, like the code and that we've seen, or the H1, H2, H3. Is that it?
Kind of, yeah. It's a it also styles detail summary elements,
Okay.
strike throughs. So it kind of tries to go through every HTML5 element and give it a reasonable looking style with the
Mm,
props. And so
mm,
it's kind of a dog fooding strategy, and it's not quite a reset, but it's a very light amount of styles. It tries
mm.
to, it doesn't want to give you anything to battle with. It wants to give you a strong foundation.
Yeah, this is what we use here, basically. Really, we just did that. And so one of the things that I wanted to explore as as a way is, so we can do maybe a new one with you, maybe a hard one that we haven't tried. But one
Yeah.
thing that I wanted to explore is to actually create a new one here that I would call a palette, and actually copy pasting this stuff here. Would probably not work because it needs also a little CSS. Maybe find a way to, and then in the source, there's like we just need to import the colors, which is fine. I should have just duplicated the whole thing. It's not very smart. There you go. So in this, I would like to rename it into palette, because this is actually all the colors that are possible. And then my thinking is, instead, in the colors, we could import CSS, but also import colors.css. And this is where we could do something like root, and then create our own colors, but with a more
Yes.
semantical way.
Mm.
So let's say color and say primary. And we're going to say, okay, this is the color primary that we want is like
Now you get to go
very
shopping.
basic, like a blue 7, something like that. So let's say blue 7. And we will pick up a secondary. What would be nice with it? A yellow?
Yeah.
A
I
yellow
like to call
6.
these props you're making house props,
House props.
right? That
Okay.
you're making them for your current project, your team, or for your in-house naming, because your designer probably doesn't say blue 7.
Mm.
They say color primary. And so now you can have the naming in your system match what the naming is between people. and then use open props to back that with a value.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think this is
That
a
was
really strong way to work.
my thinking. And so then I can document my colors. Did I use colors or color? Color.
Maybe color.
Yeah, color primary.
Yeah. What I need to do is
Oh, Adam, I've got a question for you. In the library, you are often using the column where pseudo selector for targeting where HTML rather than defining the custom properties at the HTML level. Is there what is the reason behind this one?
It's a great question. I think that CSS libraries in the future are going to ship using where. So where its primary value is to zero out specificity. So the goal is when you import open props, all the values come in and become available, but have no specificity. And if you want to overwrite them, there's zero battle.
Yeah.
And so that's the value is you're importing this thing that I don't want you to have to fight with it. I want you just to be able to import it and go and change it and extend it and modify it. Like if you want to change all the shadows to something else, like why should I care? So I ship everything with the where selector to make it a zero battle. It's just piece of cake to update and change them.
Nice. That's really smart. Really smart.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice if Bootstrap did that and shipped everything? Because then you load it first, right? You always load it first so that your stuff can overwrite it. But what if you didn't have to do that? What if it just came in and just was naturally had no battle and you could just change the anyway? So that's the ideas.
And this is supported today. This is well supported in browsers today.
Yeah, where and is have great support. Now they don't have IE support, but neither do custom properties.
Yes.
So if you have to support IE, open props isn't really a great option there, unless you want to use a preprocessor and kind of bake them all out. But yeah, support's really good, and yeah, it's an amazing superpower.
At this point, I think you should have named that the super props and not the open props.
Super props is a really good name, actually. That's very cool. Open props was kind of lame. It was like very much what it is. It's like it's open props. It's not very creative. Super props. Oh man, good. It's good stuff.
I'm gonna just create those things. Continue to create those things. And so let's say I want a lighter blue, and so I'm supposed to be able to pick up a lighter blue.
Yeah, you just go down in numbers. So closer to 0 will be a lighter color.
So let's say I go 5. You don't want to do it?
Is it not parsing the additional dash?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. That looks good.
Yeah. And then we can do the same thing for the yellow because I have something in the back of my mind. And off we go. Okay, so now we have those semantical colors. We could build other things, but I think that's good enough.
My suggestion here is do a color primary dark as well. Because like in a dark theme, you want to use the like a less saturated primary color. Like your vibrant blue button on a dark theme should be slightly desaturated. Yes.
How would you do that by using open props then?
Yeah, I have. If you go back to the website, there's a demo that shows you how I like to think about color themes. We could pop it open really quick.
Okay.
It's just above the overview there.
Above the overview? Yep.
And there's 4 color schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in here, you'll see, so it looks a little weird after we're all done, but I think it makes a whole bunch of sense once we're done. So I think we're building something similar to this. If I can, because we got 2 text colors, some surface colors, and then the brand color.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so yeah, the way that I did it here is open props is all the values, but then I make bundles of props for the light theme. So there's the light theme. You can see it's brand light, text light, surface light, shadow, and shadow strengths or light. Then there's the dark props. So I make it declarative. I don't do anything super tricky. Like I'm not making the light primary color a dark one. in a media query, anything like that. I'm just upfront making the
Yes.
palettes. Here's a dark
Okay.
set, light set, dim set, grape
Yeah.
set. And then
Grape set.
you can see later they just get assigned. So here's defaults. So there's root, says the default is a light theme. If you scroll down, you'll see when it goes to dark. Right? So the brand now becomes brand dark. Text one becomes, so basically I have like house props that are unprefixed with a purpose, so that
Yes.
as I use the application or as I use the styles as the in-house ones, I only have to think about brand, text one, surface. Like if you were to make this for other people, they don't have to know that there's a brand dark and a brand light. They always just use the one that you then have created this system that it maps differently based on different contexts into that.
Yes.
So I find this to be a very powerful, probably pretty advanced way to use custom properties, but it ends up being very manageable and readable, I think, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
nice.
Actually, to be honest, this is what I am using right now when I'm working on our starter kits. I'm trying to revamp different themes by using this very much solution, because it's really flexible and powerful at the same time. So yeah, this is really a good idea.
Awesome.
So let's try to do this.
It does, yeah. I see what you're doing here though too, and there's a little bit of a conflict, right? Because light, you were having a different purpose for light. Like you wanted a
Yes. But I can rename it. I can just do over, because that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Nice.
And then we can do exactly like you, just for the sake of so we can do or let's see, maybe it's better if I do like a light color. Wait a minute. A theme light color primary. That's what we are looking for. And this would be blue 7, let's say. And then we want the theme light color secondary. And this would be yellow 6.
Yeah, put a dash in there too between the numbers. Nice.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
And then we can do the same thing, but with dark.
Yeah.
And dark. And then we can slightly change that. Maybe for the sake of the demo, we can maybe do a red and a green. Oh. Okay. And then what you more or less did is that by default, let's remove this so that it's simpler. So I don't know if I can do this. Actually, no, I can't. This. We can say light. And so here we want to use this guy.
Yep.
And
This is the future of CSS, I think, is what we're doing right now, is props having the value of another prop and then swapping props. It's a prop swap all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's simple, and you can just use like the abstracted variable, which makes a lot of sense if you think about, like, you want to use the color primary, but you don't know and you don't care whether it is a blue, it's a red, it's a yellow. What you know,
or if it's dark or a light theme primary, or whatever, right?
Exactly. It's the primary color. So you give it a semantic.
And what you're doing too is you're making the most usable custom property the shortest one and the easiest one to memorize, right? So that they don't have to remember dark or light or dim or any adjustments. And yeah, so I feel like you're really empowering the people that come after you here, which is kind of cool.
I'm gonna just copy paste what you've done here. And you're gonna explain to me this color change dark because this is new to me.
Yeah, sure.
So should I do it like this? That's
Yeah,
how you
unless you have
would do it.
nesting in there.
Yeah, I could do that.
Like you need another curly there at the end.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna nest it. I think it would be nice.
I do like nesting. I'm a nest fan. I'm an editor on the nesting spec. Ooh.
Hey.
Whatever that means. But
yeah, and it's actually pretty cool. I looked at it. That's probably for another episode.
yeah.
And so you would recommend to have these and run it this year? Like this?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And last little
And
part there
then,
is theme dark color. Nice. There you go. So yeah, I'm glad that we typed this out because I feel like it's overwhelming when you go review it and look at someone else's colors that does this. You're like, what? This looks over-engineered. But if you walk through it yourself and you build it up, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm glad we did this.
we can see it's working because we are in dark mode and now we have red and green. And so now if I change the color scheme of my browser and move it to light, there we go. We have blue and yellow.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
So this is cool because we can use those semantical colors in custom props, but select within the theme the right color from open props. And I think this is really nice.
Me too.
I think
thanks for
later
building
on
it
we're
out.
gonna add some sort of switch and stuff.
Oh, a client-side switch. That was my most. I have a GUI challenge on YouTube coming out tomorrow, and we build a theme switch in CSS and SVG or whatever.
Oh, pure CSS?
We're gonna
It's
look at that.
it's SVG, CS. Well, there's a bunch of JavaScript to stash the state and do a bunch of other stuff, but yeah.
Ooh, awesome.
So what else we haven't covered in the CSS properties?
Let's make each one of your color swatches animate in, so that when the page loads, they bloop, bloop, bloop. And if you have a delay that we could apply in there, we could stagger them and have your palette present itself.
Okay, well, how do we do this? Oh no, we're not going to be able to do that because this is inside the doc kit.
That's okay if we don't get the stagger, but we can have them scale in or something really easily if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah, hit up that CSS file that was box. I think it was box CSS.
Yes. Should I pick up one of the? Okay, I can. So yeah, in the docs.css, this is the CSS that is applied to every element inside.
Cool. Let's see
those are our box.
Those are our boxes. Perfect. Let's give them one of the open props animations.
Yep. Should I pick it up or you're going to dictate?
Oh, well, let's go review the doc site and kind of just see how you can shop and then
animation here.
Yep. So you can see in the usage example block there that shows you that it's as simple as animation : var animation slide up in, for example, or animation blink. Let's test that alert one, animation var animation blink, and just put that on your box and see if or here, do float actually, do animation float in your
animation float. I'm a bit this one.
Yeah.
So I should pick that up and do what? Do this, but with animation float.
We'll be typing that into box.css. Yeah. So animation : var animation float, and that should be enough for us to get a V1 work into some animation.
That is nice. Animation float. That's it.
That should be it. So as long as, yeah, there they go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's nice. It's very
So what I was
nice.
thinking is we could do try animation scale in. This one should be a little trickier. Let's see.
Like this.
Yeah. Okay. The reason nothing happened. Let's talk about that. OpenProps is unique in the way that it ships animations. It only ships one keyframe. Normally, when you animate things, you specify two keyframes, where you are and where you want to go.
Mhm.
These in OpenProps are all about where you want to go. Now, what we're seeing here is no scale in because it was already there and it says scale into one. It's like, I'm not going to
Mhm.
do anything. But if you
Yes.
put reverse at the end of it, so after your paren, do space reverse, we're now going to play it backwards. At least I hope we do, which I assumed would be making it scale in. Oh, do scale out reverse. Sorry. And then we'll fix scale in too, just so it can read better here in a second. So I'm hoping these scale in.
Should we say like a scale?
If you do set, transform : scale 0.
Yeah. Like
And
this.
then we'll transform :
Mm.
yep. And scale,
Like
open
this.
parentheses, put 0 in there. Yeah, okay. So now we can do scale in, and we don't need the reverse or anything because we've set an initial state.
Yeah.
But we might need forwards so that it sticks there. We'll see in a second. Yeah, so that'll take something that's scaled out, apply scale in. Maybe it's not called scale in. Let's check the animation props.
Yeah.
Animation scale up, not scale in. I can see it in the
Where's
samples
scale
there.
up?
where do you see this?
Yeah, the third one in the samples.
Yeah, a little higher with your mouse
Yeah,
there. Yep.
this one, scale up.
Scale up, scale down. So should I use scale up?
Yeah, I said scale in, but it was scale up.
I can't find them, but okay. Let's do this. Scale up.
Yay!
Yay.
They did it. So what you needed to do there was you set an initial state, and then by default, just when the page loads, it's going to apply an animation, which causes them to go to a scaled up position. And we set forwards so that the playhead stops at the end. Right? It plays the animation, stops. But if you want to get rid of your transform, so get rid of line 8, and then we're going to change it to animation scale down reverse. This is like a fun trick that you can do with OpenProps and its animation library. Reverse. Oh, nice. They're very close though.
Yes.
Okay. So the reason this works is you haven't set an initial location, but you have told the scale down, which puts something out like that, to play in backwards, which makes it go in towards you. So kind of tricky how these can be used in multiple ways. So scale down and scale up can be either used to animate something in or out. And then you can also combine these. And so if you go back to the props website, we'll try to combine this with a slide in because it should be just a comma. So yeah, scroll down a little bit
like
underneath the
slide in?
samples. Yeah, but scroll down underneath the samples and we'll see a quick little demo. They're called combine them. Yeah, here you go. So click slide fade or shake in, any one of those. Oh yeah, like the
Scale
fade is
down
a
and
nice
fade,
in
yeah.
combination with scale. Yeah. And so you can combine these together, right? Like, because you're just saying where should you be, or you're saying, hey, come from here, and then in this way, step your way in.
And those are keyframes.
Yeah. So the OpenProp ships keyframes and then ships in that custom property. It points to the keyframes with an amount of time and an easing. And that's why it feels like it's just a one-liner for you, but really OpenProps has done the work and behind the scenes.
It's not perfect. Something is off.
Try fade out with reverse also. That way it actually fades in from opacity 0.
Yes, it works, but something is off from something is in the component underneath. So I think it doesn't.
Looks like a little client-side rendering. It's almost like the animation's happening before hydration.
It's possible.
Could set a delay. Or yeah, actually go back to the fade in and just do animation dash delay, set it to like quarter second or something, and you'll probably get rid of that little flash of unstyled box.
Why, you can do this?
Nope, but you can
No.
add underneath the animation, you can just say animation dash delay and it'll apply one to both.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Oh, that does not appear to be delayed.
Play twice.
Is it?
No.
Not sure.
Yeah, it is delayed.
Oh, is it because the reverse is happening? So it actually is waiting a second to set it to opacity 0 and scaled out. So maybe
do this.
We need to set an initial state and stop the reverse trick. Yeah.
Yeah, but the initial state is a little bit buggy because the initial state is dark.
Yeah, in our component, in our rendering component,
so we can improve this, but there's nothing we can do.
It's just a fun exploration. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep this. This is fine. This works. There you go.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, that's how animations can be added to your project. Hopefully just a couple of lines and come up with some creative stuff. You can see very much that influence, that transition style the Hackpack had, as I'm just going to give you single keyframes and you can compose whatever you want out of them.
Yeah, it's nice, and they are pre-tuned so that they look or they feel nice out of the box.
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully others do, but they're open. So if you want to improve the way that they animate or feel, open to PRs.
Okay, what else can we explore in open props?
There's a couple of unique things like the sizes that you saw. There was some content sizes. There's header sizes and content sizes.
Yes,
I'd love to briefly talk about those. So there we had static sizes. Just here's a ramp of sizes. There's a ramp of fluid sizes. Now here's reading content sizes.
Yes.
And you can see that I've got examples here in paragraphs because I want you to see that it's not necessarily about a length. What we're optimizing for is readability, legibility, and content blocks. I hope at least those three are the three primary reading sizes you'd like to see. If you like, your sidebar would be size content 1, right? You don't want any of the paragraphs in there to get all wide and ugly. Section 2 might be for like a block quote or something that's sort of intermediate between number 3, which is like your primary dominant reading paragraph. Like I want people to read some full-length content. You're going to want to use size content 3, which is set to 60 characters, which has been studied as the optimal reading length for the eye. The eye can track really well and go to a new line at 60 characters. So that's not super unique to ship those three, but if you scroll down, there's headline content sizes. And this is where the designer typography nerd in me tried to give you something new. And look, they're actually like a little off. That's interesting. I'll have to go figure it out. But the idea here is like a big header with really big text doesn't look good if it goes really long. You'll see a lot of really high quality designed typography layouts where the header is actually like half the width of the paragraph, even though it's multi-line. And so that's what these are trying to do for you, is give you 3 headline sizes so that when you write a header, your header isn't some huge block of text that's spanning the full width of content. You can actually, cut it off somewhere healthy and have a good typography layout for free. So yeah, just some interesting sizes to work with that I don't think people always optimize for reading or typography. And these are kind of cool little, I use them as a max inline size. So when I'm trying to wrangle a header, wrangle a paragraph, these let me tell the sheep like, hey sheep, you content sheep, don't go outside of this box, start a new line at this healthy spot. So Anyway, thought those were kind
I
of
think
interesting.
I think it's quite new to see these the content size and the other content, the headline content size, but I think they make a lot of sense, and especially in the context of a design system where you want to control the experience, no matter what the language is, and potentially the length of the text could be in different languages, and so you have a consistent experience. Across the board. So I think those are very interesting design tokens, as I would call them.
What is
Oh,
nice in
did you want to
this
talk about
one?
color scheme? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. What is nice in this one is that you could carry in your design token a common sense for your accessibility concerns too, because you could easily have a feature allowing your user to switch text size regarding to its own needs depending on the font size and so on. So for accessibility purposes, it's really interesting. And what is nice is that um, often finally we we burn different values in our final design token regarding the sizes and so on, because we guess that everything is fixed, and that's all, and we finally just switch few tokens like colors and so on. And finally we're going to the ability to switch also not only colors regarding to your different themes, but also switching different tokens regarding your fonts and your font size and the readability and the accessibility, which is a total new way to consider what we are doing with our design system and how we could finally improve our final users experience just by doing so.
Nice. That's a good point. Let's look at the font sizes really quick. I'd like to talk about some of the choices in there. Because with regards to typography, it's easy to make a font size that's really tiny, or tiny looks better, or something like that. And so what OpenProps tries to do is, besides just not really having too many opinions on font families there or font weights, the letter spacing. Okay, so notice there's a letter spacing 0, and it's a negative 0.05 m. It's like negative 5%. You can see that's the smallest I'm going to let you tighten your letters there. Is that, which I think is pretty healthy. So what's interesting is 0 represents a negative value, which is potentially dangerous, because look at how much we're squishing letters. And if you used font letter spacing 0 on a different font, you might get a different result at which letters start to overlap. So if something is a 0 in OpenProps, it's kind of like use with caution. It's going to potentially have side effects. And if so, let's scroll down to so there's line height. See, line height 0 is 1.1, not 1. Line height 1 often cuts off a descender, like on a G. You'll see the bottom of the G is cut off if you use line height 1. So OpenProps doesn't ship with that. It ships with 1.1 as even the most minimal one, but then it goes into negative in case you really want to tighten something up. So that's on you, right? You're in the danger zone. You're in the zeros of OpenProps. But let's look at font sizes. Look at font size 1 rem. And what's interesting is that's not the default font size in the normalized style sheet. The normalized style sheet sets paragraphs and buttons to font size 2. Because I'm like, in my head, for accessibility, just legibility, this is my browser. I've set a font size that I like. I've set an operating system font size that I like. So if I use font size 1, I'm setting it to the minimum font size that the user is comfortable with. If I set it to 1.1, I'm just a little above that. And it might just be a little easier for someone to read, because I'm not putting the primary legibility, like my content, at the smallest font size someone wants to read, putting it at just a little healthier, a little larger. No one's going to be squinting. And yeah, I think those decisions are really important to make. So thanks for bringing that up. And this is how OpenProps tries to tackle that: is 0 and 00 start to creep into font sizes that, like, you better know what you're doing. This better be like disclaimer, fine print, or something. Don't make this your reading content. And then, yeah, so it builds on 1 as being a healthy, accessible, and good default kind of across the board. So hope those are helpful.
It's interesting. It's interesting to hear those decisions. And you also have a fluid font size
and
that
those are
actually
fun.
would.
I found over time, every time I made a fluid font system, I ended up hating it because it would get out of control. Like in my head, I'm like, why do I need 100 different font sizes between this screen size and this screen size? I'm like, don't I really actually just want like two, maybe three? So I included them in there and I tried to make really good ones. I don't use them all the time. I'm not really sure when fluid typography is right yet. I'm trying to figure that out, but those helpers are there for you.
Yeah, that's certainly very interesting. Like you can really just set up one font or one font size for an element and then forget about it depending on the device that they run. So it is definitely interesting, but probably if you build components on top of that, you can sort it out and hide those complexity details. But yeah, otherwise you need to add a lot of media queries for all the font sizes and everything, which makes it a little bit painful.
It does. The sizes also offer fluid ones too. So those can be really good for gap. Like I think gap makes sense for like a fluid value.
Yes.
Padding can as well sometimes, so that on a big screen it's like a lot of padding, on a little screen it's a little bit. So there's definitely use cases for fluid values, but yeah, they can be hard to hold. So hopefully this makes them easy to hold
Yeah.
and easy to get out of. Like if you're like, I've been using size fluid 10, and it's just too unpredictable. So you can just go to size 10, just take off the fluid part, and you should still be really close to where you were in the fluid scenario.
Okay. What else do we want to check out? So
Did
we
you want
have
to talk
the
about color scheme before we
yeah.
forget about it? Because that property is about to ship in Firefox. It's in Safari and Chrome right now. But color dash scheme is a way for you to tell the browser, I want a different user agent style sheet. That's essentially what it means.
And
So
check. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, ask questions.
how does it work in the browser? It means that the browser is allowed to finally load an external style sheet, like we had in, I don't know, almost, oh my god, I'm old, 15 years in the past, where we are able in the Firefox menu to get access to different style sheet, like variants of the style sheet, like we did with CSS and Garden. Right. Is it this way it is working? We are declaring different style sheets, and the browser is totally responsible on the style sheet that is trying to load.
I think that's an interesting way to think about it. Like, I think you're talking about user styles too, where because this is in Safari. Yeah, this is like an ancient browser feature where a user can go write their own CSS
Yeah.
To be applied to every page, and it wins pretty much over everything else. So if a user wants font size to be 1.5 rem everywhere, they can just go do that. It's their page, their rendering of the content. This is a little different. So the user agent style sheet, up until dark and light themes, was always a light theme. And if we wanted dark themed inputs, or we wanted the page background to be dark, we had to go do it all ourselves. We had to go say body background dark, text color, blah, 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 input, blah, blah, blah. And what happens now if you do color scheme dark, or if you just specify that your page can handle both dark and light color themes, when the user's in a dark theme, the browser supplies a user agent style sheet that has a different background color that's not quite black, but it's like a very, very dark gray. And it supplies a new text color, very light white. Most critically, though, is hit the dark radio button on that color scheme demo and watch the color of the input radios themselves.
Yeah. That.
You get dark themed HTML inputs. So I see that as one of the most critical, powerful reasons to use color scheme, is so that when your site does switch to a dark theme, you don't have white inputs. You have dark inputs, and the text that gets typed into them is dark. It all flows through. So that's why you saw me in my media query. I'm saying, prefers color scheme dark, I just go explicitly set the color scheme to dark. But there's other ways of using that property too. And then the other reason that those radios are orange is because I'm using the accent color property. So a way to tint native inputs, and combining those all together makes for a really nice minimal customized look for your inputs. So there it is. Yep.
That's incredible.
And look, I'm just using var brand, just like we were talking about, right? Because as the user of the color system, I shouldn't have to know if it's the light or dark or whatever color. It just gets set for me.
Absolutely.
That's really nice, because
my
we
house
are
props.
pushing a lot more power in our final users hands, just because, we are probably one of the only industries that are shipping product without having any idea of where it will run at the end. We can't control the final brother of our users, So we're just shipping code and hoping for something working. And finally, after years where we are trying to constrain everything rendering in the browser, right now we're finally expanding that and giving a lot of possibilities for the end users to choose their accent colors, the way they're displaying the font, and so on. So finally, yeah, we've got something really powerful right now.
I agree. But yeah, CSS is always a request, right? You're just like, hi, I'd like the font size to be 1.1. And you have no idea. Something else could be like, sorry, the font size is not going to be what you've requested.
Whoa, awesome. So, George, do you want to try to cover something else, or
I think we're running out of time.
Yeah,
but it was a very very good session. Thank you very much, Adam, for your time. I think we covered a lot of open props and also a lot of other interesting topics around CSS. We're going to continue to build on open prop and on this design system that we started, and we make sure to share it with you, and hopefully make you proud.
It does. I'm super proud. That's what I'm sitting here not saying. I'm excited. I think a lot of people need to see design systems getting built like this. And I think they need to see that just having these props doesn't necessarily finish the job. Tailwind, I guess, does get you closer to a finished thing. And open props, you still gotta bring your own. You gotta bring your own a lot of stuff. So I love seeing this. I love seeing that y'all explore, and it's just really great content. Thanks for having me on to talk about it. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming up. It's a pleasure, and talk to you very soon, hopefully.
Yeah, thank
Sounds
you.
Good.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching this, and see you next week for a new episode. Bye bye everyone. Thanks.
Bye bye. Thanks.